Hello my bookish besties and welcome back to my channel. My name is Adrian and I like to read a little bit but yap quite a lot of bits. So let's discuss the 12 books that I read in, I almost said September. Girl, we just were in May. I'm planning a trip actively for September though, so whew, calm down. Anywho, let's discuss the books I read in May. I think this month I want to discuss them in order of my least favorite to my favorite to like kind of make things a little spicy. Usually I discuss them in the order that I read them, but yeah, I think this month I want to rate them. I had a very heavy romance slash general fiction reading month, which is super bizarre for me. If you have been on my channel at all before, you would know I traditionally stick to mostly fantasies. So the fact that of my 12 books, only 3 were fantasies, that's like kind of a big deal for me. So let's discuss the books, but first I have some stats. Like I said, in the month of May, I read 12 books, which equaled out to be about 4,658 pages. I feel like on average I read about 5,000 pages a month, which I will say in May I had a week-long reading slump. I binged all of Off Campus and then like did literally nothing else. Oh, and I also am entering my Elden Ring era, which if you're a gamer at all, you would know how much of a time suck that game is. It's so fun. But yeah, I did do pretty much nothing but Elden Ring for the whole last week of May. And you know what? I have 0 regrets. Not a single regret, babes. My average star rating was a 3.79, which is actually pretty high. I thought it was going to be lower than that, to be honest. My genre breakdown, I read 3 fantasies, like I said. I read 6 romance books. And then I read 3 just like general fictions. My favorite, actually, let's just go ahead and get into the ranking, shall we? My least favorite read in May was Yesteryear. This is a super buzzy, popular read right now. If you have not heard about it though, it is basically about this social media influencer who is famous for being a trad wife influencer. She documents like, her farm and her kids and, that kind of lifestyle. And then one day she wakes up like in, the 1800s, 1700s. It's like 1860, okay? And she's like, okay, I know I like preach this lifestyle, but I didn't want to like live it for realsies because behind the scenes, obviously she has the nannies and the camera crew and all of that modern stuff. And she wakes up in the older days and she's like, what the frick? But you don't know why she's back there. So this basically follows her, as she's trying to figure out where is she, who are these people surrounding her, what happened. It was a miserable reading experience, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like everyone I know has rated this a book of 5 stars. I did in fact rate it a 2. I really hated being in our main character's head. And I do think that if it wasn't for my book club, I probably would have DNF'd this book. It's like one of those books that by the end, I was like, oh, okay, like I see what we're doing here. But if it wasn't for book club, like me wanting to finish it to have a discussion, I don't think I would have ever gotten to the point where I was like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I see what we're putting down here. But, like, you don't figure that out till the last page. I hated getting to that last page. Yeah, I'd still recommend it, though. Like, our book club had an incredible discussion about Yesteryear. So if you are in a book club and you guys need a recommendation, I would highly recommend reading Yesteryear. It's just I personally didn't vibe with the writing style or the main character or pretty much any of it, to be honest. So that's my least favorite of the month. Next on the list would be Kill All Wizards. This is a audiobook advanced listeners copy I received. It was good. It was just not... I'm not sure I was 100% the target audience. I enjoyed it. Like, I rated it a 2.5, which, like, sounds really bad. Because usually the lowest I go is a 3. But I feel like it was just a middle-of-the-road read for me. And 2.5 is half of 5. So, like, I don't even think I could tell you what this is about. It was like a comedic barbarian. It was okay. I liked the audiobook. It was a really short audiobook. I think it is going to be a series, but other than that, I couldn't really tell you much about it without going and doing some research, which I'm going to be honest, I just don't really feel like doing at this current moment. But anywho, it wasn't a bad book. I would probably recommend it if you're looking for kind of a humor-filled fantasy. It's just, it didn't necessarily like do anything spectacular for me. After that, I think I would put Heartless by Elsie Silver. There was nothing wrong with this book. I think I just enjoyed the first book way more, and I feel like, I don't know if I just read this not in the right time, or if I'm just not really in my giggly, kicking my feet romance era anymore. But this book just kind of like, it just kind of irked me. Like, I just didn't really have that good of a time reading it. It follows a single dad, Cade Eaton, who is also a cowboy. He owns like a farm, or like runs a farm, I think, or a ranch. I think it'd be considered a ranch. But he is slightly older than our main character, Willa, who he has recently hired to be the babysitter for the summer for his son, who's like 7 or something like that. And I think I see the appeal. I think, okay, I will say, I do think I would have enjoyed this a little bit more if I haven't had recently read and absolutely adored If It Makes You Happy. I feel like these plots are very similar. It's just If It Makes You Happy is more of the like fall, bakery, sunshine, happy vibes, and this is more of like the cowboy, cows, playing outdoors side, which like nothing wrong with either. They're just very similar in my mind. Like single dad is struggling, woman swoops in and saves the day, they fall in love. Again, nothing wrong with it. I just think I got a little bored. And I did get the ick a couple times, but I got the ick reading the first one too. So like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Also, I feel like everyone is obsessed with Cade Eaton. Like, I've heard that name so many times, and we're not on the same wavelength, unfortunately. I don't regret reading it. I just am not sure that I want to continue this series, personally. But like, I rated book 1 5 stars. But it also could have been right book, right time, so I don't know. Next, I think I would put The Winners. This is the 3rd book in the Beartown trilogy by Frederick Bachman. Basically, the Beartown trilogy as a whole follows this community that is, you know, a kind of small town who comes together for one thing and one thing only, and that one thing is hockey. They are a hockey town to their core. And in the first book, a tragedy happens that kind of like makes you question a little bit of like, is hockey the only thing that matters? Basically, the town comes together to ask themselves, which one's more important to us, hockey or community? Or are they essentially the same thing? This is, like I said, the 3rd book in the trilogy, so it's like wrapping up a lot of plot lines. I will say, I think Beartown definitely could have been left alone as a standalone. That being said, book 2 was my favorite of the trilogy, so this one was good. It was just really, really long. And personally, I didn't see the point of it. We're following mostly side characters. Like the first 2 books follow the same, like, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 characters. You get like really ingrained in their stories. This one introduces like 7 or 8 new characters who you are mostly following. Like the other characters are still there, but you're more so learning about the consequences of their actions and how that impacted the rest of the community, like the outsiders from this group of characters you follow in the first 2. You kind of learn, like, you know, how the rest of the world reacted, I guess, which, like, is cool, but I didn't need 800 pages of it. I don't know. I'd still recommend reading it, I think. It's just, like I said, I do think I would personally recommend reading Beartown as a standalone. I thought it worked really well as a standalone story. Book 2 was my favorite, but you don't have to read the other 2 to enjoy and get the impactfulness from the first book. I think next I would put The Invisible College. This is by Jeff Wheeler. It is a fantasy book that I actually won in a Goodreads giveaway a couple years ago, and I just never got around to reading it, but I did finally pick it up in May. It is basically about this college that is invisible, and you are only allowed to go there if you meet certain criterias. And our main character is a professor at this college, but also at like a real life college where he's teaching magic, but one of the girls who's learning magic from him is deaf. And for some reason, the magic at the invisible college is all like sound based. So she is having a really hard time, obviously, you know, producing the magic. So we follow them as they're trying to figure out, can she do the magic? But this book was weird because it advertised itself as like a dark academia, fantasy, you know, all these elements that I really, really love. But to its core, the story was a romance. That being said, I do own the whole series. There's 4 books in total, so I'm going to keep reading them. It's just this book was super romantic, and I was not expecting that. It was still really good, though. I had a really good time reading it. The magic system is super unique, and near the end, some stuff was happening that was a crazy town, but I can't tell you about it. Like, I can't explain the plot too much because I can't remember what all is revealed to you at the start and what would be a spoiler. But let me just say, there are some things that happen, like there's some things that are cooking, okay? And I think that book 2 is going to be really crazy. I think book 1 was just a setup. It was a romantic setup, but I do think that the fantasy and the action and all that, it's coming in book 2. Because I guess, I think I can tell you this part. There's like a war going on between, if you've seen Game of Thrones, it's essentially like the ice people from Game of Thrones. It's like them versus the Invisible College. And it is crazy bonkers, but I did want more of the ice-like people. Like, it's these people that only come out every winter or something like that. I can't remember. But anywho, I would recommend checking it out. I believe they're all 4 on Kindle Unlimited, so you should definitely go give them a read. Next, I think I would put The Princess Knight. This is a Legally Blonde kind of inspired story. Basically, our main character is betrothed to one of the other princes from one of the other kingdoms. And he shows up to her front door one day and is like, actually, with the impending war and doom that's coming, I think that I should marry, like, a strong warrior woman, not like a pretty covered in pink ball gown wearing woman. And she's like, bro, what? And so she takes it upon herself to enroll in the prestigious, really hard to get into night school down the road. And so, yeah, we just follow her as she learns to be a princess knight. It was really good. I will say, it's only going to be a standalone, and I think that there could have been a little bit more to the story. There's definitely some really cool world building and character relationships that are built, and just these different elements that I think would work really well with more information. That being said, the information we did get was really fun. I did read some reviews that were like, this story is super unrealistic, but I think any Elle Woods inspired story is going to be. That's like kind of the, I don't know, juxtaposition. I don't even think that's the right word, but that's just kind of like, you know, the vibes of the Elle Woods lifestyle. But I would definitely give it a try. I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed my time reading it, and I would really recommend it. After that, I would put An Academic Affair. This is by Jodi McAllister. This book was actually really, really cute. It follows these two, basically they want to be professors, and a professor position opens up at a college near them, and they want the same position, naturally, and only one person can get the position, and they both apply for it. And then something happens where they realize that if they were to get married, they could both have a position at this college. So it is basically a marriage of convenience, fake dating, enemies to lovers situation, and it was really, really fun. I had a really good time reading this. I thought it was kind of reminiscent of some other stories I've read, which is the only reason I didn't rate it higher. It reminded me a lot of You Between the Lines, and I did personally like that one more. But this one was still so good and so cute. And it takes place in Australia, which I feel like not a ton of books I've read take place in Australia. So that aspect was really fun as well. I enjoyed kind of, you know, a new to me setting. And there was a lot of slogans and stuff in here that just like brought me joy because they were different from what I'm used to. But anywho, I would highly recommend this one. I rated it 4 stars. After that, I think I would put The Deal. Hear me out. I, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, literally binged the frick out of the off-campus, like, universe, media, all of it, about 2 weekends ago now. I watched all of the show in one sitting, like all 8 episodes, one sitting. I think I only got up to feed myself and pee, like. And then after that, I said, dang, you know what? I think I have to read these books so that I can continue to be in this world. That being said, I do think the only reason I enjoyed the book as much as I did, or I should say books, because we're going to talk about another one later, but I think the only reason I enjoyed them so much was I had watched the show. I think that if I wouldn't have seen the show, I would have DNF'd the book. There is definitely some super misogynistic and just like kind of cringy things that happen, and I don't love that, but picturing the characters from the show, I was just having such a giddy, fun time reading it, and like it was similar enough but different enough that it was just fun to binge. I read it in one sitting again. So, would I recommend it? Maybe. Did I have a really fun time reading it? Yeah, I did. Which, if you somehow haven't heard of Off Campus, basically the first book, The Deal, follows these two characters as they make a deal. They start a fake dating relationship because one of the characters, Hannah, has a crush on this boy, Justin, and our main male character, Garrett, he is struggling in a class that Hannah is also in that she's doing really well in. So they make a deal. He is going to help her make Justin jealous if she will tutor him to not fail the class, because if he fails, he can't play hockey any longer. So we follow them as they fake date and may or may not actually fall in love. And it's just fun. It's just fun. I think after that I would put the names. This book is so good. This book opens up on this mother struggling on what to name her son. She is in kind of an abusive marriage, and she has three options basically. She could name her son the name she's kind of thinking about. She could name her son the name of the father, like everyone in their family, like on the paternal side, all have the same name. So I can't remember his name, but say it was Liam. You know, we got Liam, Liam Jr., Liam Jr., Jr. So he'd be the, third or fourth Liam or whatever the name is. And then the sister also has a name suggestion. So we follow each of these names basically as their life unravels, and it's an exploratory story about, basically the argument of nature and nurture. Like, does something like your name actually matter for who you are as a person? Because there are definitely implications that, having the name of his abusive father, for example, might incline people to think that he is also going to be abusive and lean into that behavior. And also, obviously, depending on the name chosen, the family and all these people react a little bit differently, which then creates differences in how they're raised, etc. It's really good. It's really thought-provoking. It was nearly a 5 stars for me. I can't remember exactly where it fell short. I think I just wished that some of the storylines were thought out a little bit better, because I did find it a tad confusing that all 3 storylines were similar but different. I was getting them mixed up because basically I believe their names are Bear. Okay, so Gordon is the name I was saying was Liam. So we got Gordon, Bear, and then a third name. But basically it goes Gordon, Bear, third name, Gordon, Bear, third name, Gordon, Bear, third name. And I personally was struggling a little bit to remember, is this detail from Gordon's timeline or is this detail from Bear's timeline? Like, I was getting all their stories a little bit mixed up. I could overall tell who was who, but I did have moments of like, what's happening again? Because like in some of the timelines, the grandparents are alive versus some of the timelines they're dead. In some of the timelines, maybe he has a girlfriend, and other timelines he doesn't, etc. They're all similar, but there's differences. It's hard to explain, but I enjoyed it. I just do think I got a tad confused to have rated this a 5 stars, but it was very close. The moral of the story is I would definitely recommend you check this book out if you haven't already. And here's my second off-campus book of the year, number 3 of my list overall, The Mistake. This is John Logan's book. What? It was so good, which is crazy because I think of the 4, I've only read 3. So I've read The Deal, The Mistake, and I've started The Score. I haven't finished it yet. But of the 3 that I've at least looked at Goodreads on, I think it is the least popular, which is crazy because I devoured it. Which, like, granted, Grace and John's story did kind of remind me a little bit of some similar experiences from my college experience. So, like, maybe it was, like, nostalgia fluffing. Basically, this book follows John Logan. He is freaking hot, okay? He is like this playboy boy who accidentally meets this girl, Grace, one evening, and they hang out and stuff happens, and then he just kind of bails. And then he feels bad about it, so he goes back and he's like, hey, really sorry about that. Actually, let's try again. And then I think he leaves again. And then he's like, actually, girl, I can't stop thinking about you. So Grace, she's like, if you want to like me, or like date me, I guess, you have to prove it. So she gives him this long list of all these crazy things he has to do, and it was just so entertaining. It's so good. I just had such a fun, giddy time reading it. I don't know what you want from me. It was a 5 stars, but like a giddy, silly, goofy 5 stars is a feeling kind of 5 stars, you know what I mean? Like, don't come at me in the comments, bro, okay? I know that these books have their issues and they're not technically well written, but it's the same way I feel about a Frida McFadden. Like, it just was consumable, and I had fun, okay? Sue me. But anywho, yeah, I'm so excited for season 2. I will admit, I am struggling with the score a little bit. That's book 3. I read about half of it in May. It is kind of, I think, what put me in that week-long reading slump. I still haven't finished it. But that is okay. Because the mistake, perfection, literally perfection. But anywho, all I was saying is I'm excited for season 2 and to get more John Logan content. I fear he might be my favorite of the 3 or the 4. I haven't really read Tucker's book, and I feel like he was barely in season 1. So in my mind, it's only 3. But anywho, second place overall definitely has to go to Practice Makes Perfect. There's just something that Sarah Adams has put into these books that is just absolute perfection. I really liked this one. Again, Annie just kind of reminded me a lot of myself. Everyone thinks she's shy and reserved when, like, really that's just kind of the stigma her family has put on her, and that's not how she feels. And one day she just, like, cracks. She's like, yo, actually, back off, and also I really want to date somebody. So enter Will Taylor. Is that his name? Will Griffin. And he is the bodyguard of the FMC from the first book. This is a series, the When in Rome series. The first book is When in Rome. He is the bodyguard. He comes back, and she's like, yo, can you help me learn how to flirt so that I can eventually get a boyfriend, so that I can eventually get a husband? And it's just so cute. Their chemistry, it was just really cute. It was really bingeable. I read it really fast. I love the books. Highly recommend. Will? Yeah. And last but not least, my favorite book I read in May is Into the Blue. It's a new release by Emma Brody. I just think this book is absolutely perfection. Basically, we follow these 2 characters who grow up side by side, learning how to be actors with each other, like they're each other's acting partner, I guess. And then one day, our main male character, Noah, walks out, like just completely disappears, is never heard from again. Until a few years later, AJ and Noah somehow end up on the same movie set, or I guess TV show set. Crazy. It is absolutely crazy. It is also absolutely heartbreaking. If I were you, I would look up 0 things about this book. I would go in as blind as possible. A girl I follow on Instagram posted about a reason she didn't love this book, like she was contemplating DNFing, and it was a major spoiler, and it's one of those books that I think it would impact you way harder if you knew as little as possible. The amount I've told you right now is like the perfect amount, okay? You just need to know that they knew each other in their childhood, and now they have reconvened several years later after not seeing each other, not speaking, nothing for several years. It was perfect. It was really emotional. I will say there were flaws, obviously. I think every book has its flaws. But it was just so good, and it left me feeling so complete. Like, it was a good, wholesome story. I really liked it. And I would highly recommend. I think it would make a really good movie or TV show, which is hilarious because it's, like, technically about a TV show. But love it. I absolutely love it. I was worried I wouldn't love it either. A couple of my friends were worried I wasn't going to like it, and look at it. It's the #1 book in May. But anywho, let me know down in the comments below, what was your favorite or least favorite book you read in May? Do you have any fun reading plans for June? Let me know all of the good things down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. And bye, guys.